Hello everybody. Sorry that I have to do this in my vehicle. It's actually the only quiet place around here. But let's just get into this presentation. Alright, so I'm going to be discussing the sociocultural theory. And in this theory, it has been founded by Lev Vygotsky, who is a Russian psychologist. He developed a theory of cognitive development known as the sociocultural theory of cognitive development in the early 20th century. So, cognitive development, its main assertion is that children advance through social interaction with other people, particularly those who are more skilled. In other words, Vygotsky believed that the social learning skills come before the cognitive development, and that children construct knowledge actively. So, some key points of this are the 4 elementary functions that they're pretty much born with, which is attention and sensation and perception and memory. And then we have the zone of proximal development. I'm sure that you've all heard this before, where you have your realm of what you can do by yourself, and then you have a realm of development where you need assistance, and then there's a realm where you aren't able to acquire that skill yet. So that will change over years what skills are in which zone of the proximal development. So, and then what surrounds children and their support will help speed their development. So the more interaction that you give them is the more that they will develop. And learning can precede development. So their social skills and the things that they learn through other people can precede like just normal learning, like numbers 1, 2, 3, ABC. And I've got this video that I wanted to share. Let's see if it'll load.
Vygotsky's theory of social development argues that community and language play a central part in learning. While Jean Piaget concluded that children's cognitive development happens in stages, Vygotsky rejected his ideas and believed that children develop independently of specific stages as the result of social interactions. Vygotsky claimed that we are born with 4 elementary mental functions: attention, sensation, perception, and memory. It is our social and cultural environment that allows us to use these elementary skills to develop and finally gain higher mental functions. This development ideally happens in the zone of proximal development. First, there is what we can do on our own. Then, there is the zone of proximal development, which represents what we can do with the help of an adult, a friend, technology, or what Vygotsky called the more knowledgeable other. Last, there is what's beyond our reach. To illustrate this, let us think of twins who were raised in a community in which boys are expected to learn and succeed, while girls are only expected to be pretty. At the age of 10 months,
And this is
both
all
have the
hypothetical.
ability to crawl and are in the zone of proximal development for learning how to stand on their feet. The more knowledgeable other, in this case the father, provides the boy with opportunities to practice in a playroom that he has equipped with scaffolding and other objects. The boy is encouraged to explore the equipment, and eventually he uses it to pull himself up. A few hours later, he's cruising along the structures, and a few days later, he's standing on his feet. The girl also has the potential to stand, but does not receive any support in learning the skill. When we compare the two, we see that while the girl is still trying to get up, the boy has moved into a new zone. He knows how to balance while standing, and now has the potential to learn how to walk. Both will eventually learn how to walk, but according to Vygotsky, the boy will be more skilled. The same principles apply to all learning and the development of higher cognitive functions, and only those learning with the assistance of a capable mentor can reach the full potential of their ability. Vygotsky therefore believed that inside the zone of proximal development, learning can precede development, which means that a child is able to learn skills that go beyond their natural maturity. He also established an explicit connection between speech and mental concepts, arguing that inner speech develops from external speech via a gradual process of internalization. This means that thought itself develops as a result of conversation. Therefore, younger children who don't finish this process can only think out loud. Once the process is complete, inner speech and spoken language become independent. Lev Vygotsky died of tuberculosis in 1934 at the age of 37. Despite his young age, he became one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. He left the following advice for educators. By giving students practice in talking with others, we give them frames for thinking on their own. What do you think? Can a child learn anything regardless of any developmental prerequisites? And do we learn only through social and cultural contexts? And if so, do you think it is appropriate for a more knowledgeable other to determine what a child should learn next? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
So, there is my film that I wanted to share with you guys. No, I don't want to do that. There we go. Okay. So on my next slide, I talk about the implications of the theory and how you would implement it. So in the implications, I noted that the variability of the cultural realities has some definite implications. Like, for example, if you had an upper middle class Asian American family, they would raise their children in a very different cultural way than, say, another different cultural group. And that's just a matter of the fact. So in implementation of this theory, you would be using scaffolding, and that's similar to the zone of proximal development, is where a child is with a trusted adult, and the adult will challenge the child while guiding them in order to learn more with assistance. So there's that. And then I wanted to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of this particular theory, the sociocultural theory. And I thought of a few separate strengths, and I found a few separate strengths, but not very many weaknesses, because there just aren't very many. So, in the strengths, we are surrounded by people, generally, and not many people are left alone for their whole childhood, so children having the influence of social learning they need is everywhere they go. So, you can't not get social learning unless you're stuck at home with nobody to talk to. And then the success rates for this theory are higher than the others. When some of the theories didn't work for some children, this one did work. So that is an exciting thing to know in terms of research. And then in terms of weaknesses, this particular learning theory does not work as well as for children who are mentally handicapped and less capable of social interaction. So there's that. It doesn't work for everybody. So how is play supported in this theory? I've seen play supported, play and development addressed in the sociocultural theory, by which the child, will use their social environment in order to learn new ways to play, therefore expanding their knowledge and how to play more effectively, creatively, and with more imaginativeness. So, play and development is important to be included when theorizing about a child's development, because it has so much integration of their own knowledge with that of the creativity in play and others in their creativity. The dopamine that is released in the child's brain is not only creating happiness for them, but also adding years to their lives with different important health factors. So just through play, they're learning and they're happy and they're growing more healthy just through playing. So, evidence of this sociocultural theory in action. They were offered a lot of independent play. At least what I saw in my particular classroom, they were offered a lot of independent play, but they all did play together a lot as well, just through their own particular desires. And they did explore a lot, and they weren't given very much restriction in the classroom. So, at the same time, there were different activities that the teacher required scaffolding for, in which they would help the child and have them to navigate through the certain steps of the activity together with the teacher. And they learned a lot from those activities. They learned more skills like how to hold a paintbrush and how to do different fine motor activities and put puzzles together with the help of the teachers. And play is utilized in this classroom through the use of watching their communication and the ways they express themselves throughout play. Redirection is one of the most common tactics that I've seen whenever they need to help take a child's focus off of something that frustrates them, like a friend that wants to play with their toy, and allows them to find other things to occupy their time and their mental focus. So what I learned from the sociocultural theory is that our mannerisms and our language and our beliefs, culture, and customs from the people that surround us daily is how we learn, is through what is surrounding us. So Vygotsky also claims that without social interaction, full cognitive development could not occur. The teachers will often use scaffolding learning to help them enrich their conflict resolution skills using descriptive language to support the child's ability to create their own world and communicate effectively. And then I have my bibliography with all of my different